In this episode, I will walk back to our landing in the Palam airport in New Delhi on a Friday, the last week Friday of December 1976. The Pan Am wide-body aircrafts landed at about 4:30 in the Palam airport. Well, when we came out of the airport after finishing the formalities like customs, immigration, and etc., and after collecting our baggage, I and Geeta was greeted by Radha Krishnan, a cousin of Geeta who was working in the secretariat in Trivandrum, and then that point in time working in the Kerala house on deputation. That is the customary word used in that respect when an employee in secretariat is posted in New Delhi, Kerala house, or similar assignments, it is called a deputation. So we were very gladly greeted by Radha Krishnan, and in fact we reciprocated equally well. And then Radha Krishnan guided us over to a taxi, and we drove down to what is called Kerala House near Jantar Mantar in New Delhi. Kerala House is a guest house mainly meant for the officials visiting New Delhi from the Kerala state. And because Radha Krishnan was there, our stay in the Kerala house overnight was already arranged because our flight to Trivandrum via Goa was only on the Saturday, next day rather. So we got to our place of retiring for the night in the Kerala house, carted all the luggage, 3 suitcases over to our room. Then Radha Krishnan ordered tea from the canteen, which was promptly brought over. And Geeta was wearing a heavy woolen coat, ladies' winter coat, not wearing there, in fact holding actually I should say. She was wearing it during the travel occasionally because, for some people the chillness in the aircraft could be unbearable. Anyway, so Geeta thought there is no point in carrying this heavy coat, woolen coat, to Trivandrum, and because it will not find any practical use. Whereas it may be of help for those people who continue to live in Delhi, because Delhi gets a winter without any snow. The winter can be little harsh for some people. People immediately or very easily, not immediately, immediately and easily catch cold. And the old adage is that if you catch cold in winter, you'll have to wait till summer to get rid of it. So this coat was offered as a free gift to the bearer or the waiter who brought tea, etc., to our room. So afterwards, around 7 o'clock, we rejoined with Radha Krishnan in the dining hall to enjoy what is called the specialty of Kerala house, that is Payarum Kanyayam, with of course papad and so on. And that was a very nostalgic event for me, and of course for her also, Geeta also, because it is after a long while that we enjoy the Kanni Payar combination. And I had a stomach full of Kanni and Payar, or more Payar rather than more Kanni. that is what my favorite proportion is, combination is. And then, we retired for the night, promising Radhakrishnan to get ready to reach the airport, Palam airport, by 9 o'clock. Radhakrishnan was ready. Radhakrishnan knocked at our door at 7 o'clock in the morning of Saturday. And then we all just marched toward the canteen. I had some dosha plus vada plus sambar and chutney. Chutney is actually based on coconut because it is Kerala house. And it was a great and a good combination. I had again a stomach full of this meal. And then by about 8 o'clock, a taxi came, and we, put all our luggage and stuff in the taxi. As then the taxi drove directly to the Palam airport. And in the Palam airport, it took something like 45 minutes. It depends on the traffic in the highway. Morning was not that heavily trafficked, being a Saturday. So we reached there within 45 minutes. And once we got in there, we collected our luggage and then thanked Radhakrishnan and settled the taxi fare, etc. Then marched toward the Indian Airlines checking-in counter. And in the Indian Airlines checking-in counter, we located where the so-called New Delhi, Goa, Bombay flight window. And there, after 15 minutes or so, there was actually a line already in place. And we got into the our turn of checking in. We got the boarding bus and rested in a place where for boarding the aircraft with designated location in the airport. And by about 9:30, we were by about 10. There was an announcement that all those passengers, headed for Goa and Kochi are invited to join the bus which will take us over to the aircraft. Those days the so-called sky bridges were not very much common all over India. Of course, in Delhi, yes, Delhi also was not in that style, unlike now. So then we just climbed up the stairs of the aircraft, a Boeing 737, and by 10 o'clock, not 10, quarter after 10, yes, quarter after 10. And when everything else was set, the doors were slammed shut, and there was announcement that by the captain that we are about to start off. So by 11 o'clock exactly, we were airborne. And that was in spite of being a month of December, in spite of being in Delhi, that was a brilliant day. There was sun, bright sun, and of course the air was very cool. And of course, as it was not as bad as the aircraft, inside of the aircraft, where the temperature is much more cooler. So the plane headed down to Goa, and I occupied a window seat. It is not a free seating, but I had opted for a window seat, and Geeta had the middle seat. And then we came over the Vindhyans, and I was watching through the window the topography and landscape of the Indian subcontinent. Being a geologist, it was like a revisit to the topographic sheets of India. And the aerial photographs of India, I have not seen the entire set of aerial photographs of India, but only of the southern states, and not in a continuous manner, but still I have had opportunities to see the aerial photographs, because in the topographic sheets, like I said, earlier, and including the aerial photos are secret documents. Yeah. Then, in about an hour or a little more, the plane landed at Goan airport. That was actually an interesting sight. This space, the land area between Goa and south of Indians or beyond within Indians, south of Indians, yes, is all looked red. The soil of India is reddish because of the domination of the arid climate in the Indian subcontinent. Our arid and semi-arid is in the northwest. Then the rest of India, most of the rest of India is semi-arid in climate. It falls in the semi-arid climate zone. And with the exception of those river valleys and what you call as the coastal fringes of the coastal area. And once the plane landed in Panaji airport in Goa, it was actually, took about another 45 minutes to take back to air again. There we were given a cup of coffee and biscuits, to enjoy the break in our journey. So many people got off the aircraft, and then it took off. And the rest of the journey, we were very anxious in the sense, we were counting every second and minute because we are going to be reunited with our families and our son, who was not with us in Syracuse. So that was our decision, not to take Hari Kuttan to Syracuse, because that will be not possible, not in the sense. He may lose an opportunity to be able to live in the United States, but for Gita to go through the reading, learning, and work, it will be a little troublesome to keep a child along with, or a toddler, or a school age, kindergarten age baby. So by about 1 o'clock or so on Saturday, we just touched down the Trivandrum airport. Then in those days it was called a Trivandrum domestic airport. It was a small structure. It still is retained in Trivandrum International Airport at the southern extremity of the airport, the modern airport terminal. Anyway, so once it landed, then the doors were open. We walked down. It took our turn to walk down the stairs. Then we boarded a bus, which took us from the bus over to the terminal building. And we got off the terminal building, walked into a big hall, arrival hall. And in the arrival hall, there is a barricade toward the west end, where all these people, your friends, relatives, and those people who came to pick you up will be waiting. And the major area of the arrival hall is devoted for the luggage, belt, etc. So as soon as we enter what is called, there is arrival hall, we noted our people, including Harikuttan, we waved at them, and Gita walked over to the barricade and then came back. And our luggage, picking up luggage is a little tough thing, because luggage does not come that fast as the passengers would do. So finally the luggage arrived. We picked up our 3 pieces of luggage. My parents were there, Kochetan was there, and Gita's parents and Harikuttan was there. I met all these people outside of the airport, and told my parents that I will see them tomorrow morning, the next day morning, or the Sunday morning for a breakfast. So then, we boarded the cars and headed back home. We reached Shastamangalam, Krishna Vilas in the Sangar Lane, like about, say, 2:30, yes. or between 2 and 2:30, and after the arrival at home, it was all exchanging, what is called pleasantries, and everybody said I looked bloated. In fact, when I arrived from United States, I was weighing something like 93 or 95 kilograms, too big for my height, too big a weight. And like all of us, when you come from the higher latitude, after a country in the higher latitude, after living there for 2 or 3 years, you will have a glamorous appearance, a lighter shade in the skin, etc., which I too had. And of course, when we compared ourselves with Harry was thin, lean, and underweight actually. For his age, he was only 7. He was not exactly 7. He would have been 7 only after 5 months in the 1977. But that day of our arrival, our reaching home was the Saturday, that is the 30th of December, 1976. So we had some good food and homemade food, etc., etc. And after the morning, I decided to take Harikutan also over to Ambalamukka to spend some time with my parents. So we got ready by about 8 o'clock or 8:30, then took a bus, Shastamangalam Perukada bus. We got off at a place called Ulambara. And from there we just walked slowly over to our home, on the west side of the western entrance of Perukada Sri Krishna Swami temple. And when we walked into our home, or when we walked through the street, people were asking, questions like, when you came here, Epo. I said, with a big laugh, a smile, I said, only yesterday we came. And of course, then we walked into the Ambalamukka house in the Kaidavlagam lane. And there, of course, I met my dad and mommy, Amma, and my brother was not home, but I couldn't know his playmates, Biju and Moni, my nephews, my brother's children, and they were a little older than Hari, and they had a lot of good time over there in that house. And of course, obviously, I had to eat a breakfast, even though we had a breakfast at Shastamangalam. And I shared a breakfast with my dad. And, between dad and me, there was not much to talk about, whereas Amma will always keep on talking about this, that, and so many other things. And after an hour or two, Hari and I left to Shastamangalam. And then we took an auto rickshaw to go to Shastamangalam.